Welcome to the Inspiring Marriages podcast. We are Jeff and Teresa Fields, and we are thrilled to have you with us today.
In this heartfelt episode, we delve into the profound impact of forgiveness in marriage and how it serves as an act of selfless love.
Teresa, we're going to talk about how forgiveness isn't merely about forgetting the wrongs done, but is about nurturing a stronger, more resilient bond between partners.
Marriage is a journey of love, but it's also a path that requires forgiveness.
So tune in to hear some practical tips on how to practice forgiveness in your marriage. The incredible music that you heard at the beginning during our intro was all done by our very talented son, Joseph Taylor Fields.
That's right. And we've been happily married for an amazing 33 years. And along the way, we've been blessed with 3 incredible grown children, a fantastic son-in-law, and the most precious grandbaby you could imagine.
Get ready to be inspired as we open up about our journey. Our mission is to ignite a spark in couples everywhere.
That's right. We're all about nurturing deep friendships and cultivating marriages that thrive in every way, spiritually, emotionally, romantically, and physically. Join us on this incredible adventure.
Be sure to check out our website at InspiringMarriages.net. Dive into all of our previous episodes with detailed show notes that will enrich your listening experience.
Plus, scroll down to find our Keep in Touch section where you can sign up and receive our latest offerings absolutely free. Don't miss out on the inspiration. Visit us today.
Teresa, as we heard Brother Jerry Savelle, Dr. Jerry Savelle say many times, God is a champion of making winners in life.
Mm-hmm.
But in that same way, marriage is a testament to God's commitment to making winners in life. We believe that through love, unity, and unwavering faith, we are empowered to overcome challenges and achieve greatness together.
Amen. With God as our guiding force, we strive to create a partnership that thrives on mutual respect, understanding, and an unbreakable bond.
Our journey together is a celebration of God's divine purpose, making us stronger and more victorious with each passing day. We are working on a definition of marriage. Marriage is a man and a woman, spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and physically intimate, working together in a shared life to help each other realize their visions and dreams, walking with God to fulfill their callings and goals. And our definition of intimacy is intimacy. It's a profound connection built on trust and mutual respect, where the deepest thoughts and emotions are shared openly, without hesitation or fear of judgment. It's a space where vulnerability is met with understanding and true closeness flourishes spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, and physically. There are really 4 main areas of intimacy: spiritual, intellectual, emotional, and physical.
Mm-hmm.
And we said many times over the last few weeks, these are not just 4 separate compartments.
That's right.
But each of these, as you enrich one of them, they will enrich the other 3.
That's right. That's so good. So we're still in just had started our emotional intimacy series. So this is getting really interesting. Going to delve into an important topic.
So this week we want to start talking about the power of forgiveness in marriage, and we want to give you some practical tips on how to walk in forgiveness. Last week we read Ephesians 5:25 in the Amplified. Husbands, love your wife, seek the highest good for her, and surround her with a caring, unselfish love, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. So as we take that verse and we can apply that same selfless love definition to Ephesians 4:13 4:32 Amplified Classic, and become useful and helpful and kind to one another, tender-hearted, compassionate, understanding, loving-hearted, forgiving one another readily and freely as God in Christ forgave you. Again, Teresa, we see this week that Jesus is our example.
Mm-hmm.
He is the standard. So
that's right.
Ephesians 5:25, Paul told the husbands, did you see the selfish love that Christ loved the church with? Well, that's the same selfish love you need to love your wife with. Paul said in Ephesians 4:32, you have to forgive one another readily and freely. So last week when we talked about Jesus' selfless love, one of the ways he walked in selfless love was forgiveness.
That's right. So Jesus is our standard. We can't judge how to forgive by, how your parents forgave each other or how they forgave you or how your friends treat you or you treat them. We have to use him. He is our example. So by choosing to forgive others, we free ourselves from the hold of sin's power. I think the enemy set it up this way where we think, we're really getting somebody good if we don't forgive them, and we're trying to hold them with that sin they committed. But, who does it really harm when we're holding unforgiveness? It hurts us, right?
It hurts us. That's really important, Teresa, right? So when we hold on to unforgiveness, it's like a weight that we're carrying. It's like a burden that you're carrying.
Right.
It's like another thing that you have to deal with is the hurt and the grudges.
Yes.
And the damage to your heart. Mm-hmm. You're hanging on to that by choosing to not forgive.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't help anything, right? It only hurts. It doesn't help. That is so true.
So you're the one that sin has the power over when you don't forgive.
That's right.
It's not the other person. It's you that is ensnared by the sin. Not that you've sinned, but you're hanging on to it.
Right.
You're hanging on to the offense. So, but we free ourselves by choosing to forgive.
That's right.
Now, the Webster 1828 dictionary says, for forgive, it means to pardon, to remit, as an offense or debt, to overlook an offense, to treat the offender as not guilty. The original and proper phrase is to forgive the offense, to send it away, to reject it, that is not to impute it or put to the offender. So it's really important. When you forgive someone, that means you treat them like they're not guilty.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what God did for us. Like you said in Ephesians 4, he forgave us readily and freely. I know that ministered to me so much when I learned that verse in the Amplified. God did that for us, and he is saying you can do that.
Yeah. When
you know him and you love him, he can make us able to forgive and just completely let go of the offense. And like you said, send it away and then treat the person like they did not do that. And they may not have even said they're sorry yet. That is not based on whether they are sorry or whether they're coming to you and saying, please forgive me. We need to forgive quickly. We really do. So I love this verse in Psalm 103. It's verse 12 from the NASB 1995. And it says, as far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Wow.
So it's very plain. When God removes our transgressions from us, he flings it away from us, away from his memory, and he does not remember it. He doesn't bring it back. So
that's right.
10 years from now, he's not going to go back and go, no, I remember what you did back in 2025. No, he doesn't. No. He doesn't remember. He doesn't bring that back. He doesn't hold it against you. It's like you never committed that transgression. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So forgiveness helps heal emotional wounds and rebuilds trust between partners. So that's the key, right, Teresa? Is the offense? As I say, there's an offense here.
Mm-hmm.
Like offense.
Like a fence, yes.
And when there is a transgression or perceived transgression,
Mm-hmm.
There is a wall that builds up between us, and it damages our relationship that we can't trust each other.
Right, right.
But forgiveness gets rid of the emotional wounds, tears down the wall between us,
Mm-hmm.
and helps us build trust between us again.
That's right.
When
That's right.
couples forgive each other, they move past their mistakes and focus on rebuilding their relationship. Joyce Meyer says in one of her books, when someone says, I can forgive, but I cannot forget, they really are saying, I will not forgive.
Yes, that's really what it is. We don't like to admit that. But if we say, yeah, I forgive them, but you're still remembering that injury, you're still remembering that wrong or that miscommunication, and like the enemy will make sure it keeps coming back to mind. He'll keep reminding you of it. And any little thing that happens thereafter, see, look, they did it again. He wants you to start just building up this whole case against your spouse, how messed up they are, how they just not doing anything right, and it's just all, like you said, it's trying to build up a wall to separate you, build up a wall between you, and it's going to affect everything.
Right.
You'll start seeing everything through that lens of, what my spouse is doing wrong or what they did to hurt me or what they keep doing, and you might even be thinking they're doing something that they're not doing or saying something they're not saying, because it starts becoming a filter that you see and hear everything through.
Well, that is so good, Teresa. So it's the bondage that comes upon you, and and you just see everything through that offense, and everything reminds you of that offense.
Yes,
and it just magnifies it.
Oh, it does. Yes.
And we know there are people in a dark spot in a relationship. It might be, it might seem bleak, but we'll let you know there's always hope.
Right.
God is a champion of taking marriages and rebuilding them and restoring them to a place where they're even better than new. Mm-hmm. So he does a great job. He's a champion of doing this. So, and we can talk about offenses from the worst adultery or infidelity, all the way to, I don't know, he parked in my parking spot, but there are things that can build up, and it can really, something like he parked in my parking spot may trigger feelings. Maybe there's past unforgiveness in your heart, that something will remind you of that, and it's like, oh, this is happening again. He's doing again what my father did, or she's doing again what this other person used to do to me, or in this past relationship.
Oh, yes.
This is the exact same thing. I can't trust him.
That's
I can't
right.
trust her. It's the same thing. But I'm letting you know, no matter what the offense is, no matter how dark it might seem, there is hope. God is a restorer of marriages. Your enemy, your spouse is not your enemy.
Right.
There is an enemy out there who seeks to kill, to steal, and destroy everything about you. He wants to kill you. He wants to kill your children. He wants to destroy your marriage, because your marriage reminds him of a relationship between Christ and the church.
That's right.
And he hates you.
Right.
He hates you with venom, and he would kill you right now if he could. But someone overcame him. Jesus Christ overcame him and defeated him openly.
That's right.
So now we can walk, because Jesus forgave us, now we can walk in unforgiveness and really forgive and forget.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's so powerful. I know we're calling this the power of forgiveness because it is a powerful tool that He's given us. I mean, this is God's nature that He's given us to be able to forgive any kind of wrongdoing, any kind of sin, any kind of mishap or misunderstanding. We have that ability because He's living on the inside of us as believers. It is powerful.
Right. So we want to give you some practical tips today, and we'll cover some more next week. Some practical tips on how to walk in forgiveness in your marriage. Number one, it's always the number one thing on our list. You have to communicate openly. You got to share your feelings with your spouse. You say, well, I feel silly. Why am I offended because he drank my Coke? Somebody ate the last piece of cake and it just really hurt me. I mean, no, that really, it can really build up, and it really can be hurtful. And because of something else that happened in the past, either in that relationship, in this relationship, or a previous relationship.
That's right.
But it hurts whenever it is perceived as a transgression, but there's healing for that. But you got to be able to share your feelings and your thoughts. Well, I feel so silly, but you got to do it. Honest communication allows you both to understand each other's perspectives and work through any misunderstandings. Now, we've been married over 33 years, and there have been times where we can sense something's not quite gelling here. We're misunderstanding what the other person is saying. Someone might say something, and the other person just completely misunderstands it.
Right.
And it's something that wasn't intended at all. And so we know then, okay, we need to stop.
Right.
We need to talk. We need to hold hands, look in each other's eyes, tell each other how much we love them, love each other. And we just need to connect and just get back down to the basic, what we call, getting back down to basics. So
that's right.
That's the cliche sporting term where there's your team is struggling or there's something happened. They go back to the fundamentals. They go back to football. It's tackling. Go back to tackling, blocking and tackling.
Right.
And baseball is going back to fielding and keeping your eye on the ball. And so just basketball is dribbling and passing. And so it's just, you go back to the basics, and back to the basics with a faith-filled marriage is communication and prayer. You have to communicate.
That's good.
You got to get back to the basics and to build up that trust.
That's so good. Yeah. And just to reestablish proper communication without all the feelings and everything involved. You just have to calm down and, like you said, get back to the basics. This is the person that chose me and I chose them and God brought us together. Let's get back to the fundamental. This is a marriage that God has built, and we don't want to tear it down. We want to get back to loving one another. So let's clear up the misunderstandings. Let's clear up the hurt feelings and all of that. It's so good. And
let me give you hope. Now, we've known people who terrible things have happened in their marriage. Infidelity, let's say infidelity, adultery, and God has been able to restore those relationships. And but it takes forgiveness and forgetting. It really, but there is hope. Right. There is a restoration. There is the other side of this. You might say this is dark. I don't know how we're going to get through this. This is terrible. This is the hardest thing I've ever been to in my life. I can't believe he or she did that to me, just betrayed me, tore my heart out. There is healing and forgiveness on the other side, and there is a restoration of a relationship.
That's right.
It is possible.
That's right. So another practical tip for forgiveness is empathize with your spouse. Try to put yourself in your spouse's shoes and understand their feelings and actions. I really like this because we were taught this as young children. Put yourself in the other person's place or in the other person's shoes. It's just a saying. But like, if that was said to me, if that was done to me, how would I be feeling right now?
Right.
If I was treated the way I just treated my spouse, would I like that, or would I feel like I, had been wronged or I'd been hurt? And that will really help soften your heart towards them and foster compassion,
Right.
And if they wronged you, then think about what was it that might have, prompted them to act that way or react that way. That's not what they're really like. I've got to think about what they're dealing with and what might have made them do something that seemed hurtful to me. I put myself in my spouse's shoes and try to see it from his perspective or her perspective.
That's so good. Another tip, practical tip on walking in forgiveness, you have to let go of grudges. When you hang on to past hurts, you only add to the emotional burden. You have to make a conscious effort to let go of grudges and focus on moving forward. So it's an active decision. It's not like one day you're just going to wake up and, oh, my grudges are gone, my hurts are gone.
No.
Hey, I don't remember what they did to me at all. No, it is, like it said, is forgiveness is like treating the other person like it never happened. I know it's tough, but I'm telling you, there is restoration in your future. If you're going through a tough time in your marriage, there is restoration. There is. Dr. Jerry Savelle wrote a book, and we recommend it.
Highly recommend
From
it.
Devastation to Restoration.
Very powerful book. That's right. This is a really good quote from John and Paula Sanford. It says, "Sin isolates us from each other and from God, but forgiveness is the antidote to sin. Forgiveness is a crucial and pivotal element to spiritual and personal growth. If you want to be happy, to be healthy, and to grow in relationships with others, forgiveness is not an option. It is a necessity."
Right. So if you want to grow in your relationship, forgiveness is necessary.
It is. It is. Every step of the way. I mean, even on the wedding day, there might have been something that annoyed you. You got to forgive right then. Don't wait till, a week later after the honeymoon and say, you really messed up our wedding, or, don't be letting it go like that. Don't let things go that long. Deal with things immediately and recognize, hey, I'm taking offense at something, or I don't like what was said or what was done or the attitude I heard in your tone of voice. That's why we're talking about communicating, because if you let these things go, that's when they start to take root. They can turn into grudges. They can turn into that big wall of separation in your marriage. We've got to be constantly forgiving, constantly showing kindness and grace to our spouse. We all make mistakes, so we're going to need to be forgiving all the time.
That is so powerful, Teresa. We have to be forgiving all the time. There's little bitty things, they just build up, don't they?
They do.
So 2 resources we want to mention this week, 2 that we quoted from already. One is a book by Joyce Myers. It's called The Power of Forgiveness. Keep Your Heart Free. And that book's available on Kindle, or I'm sure an audiobook. And the other one was Choosing Forgiveness by John and Paula Sanford. And they're the ones that talked about a growing relationship. Forgiveness is a necessity, not an option.
That's right.
You should have a book. You should have marriage books. You should invest in marriage books. And you should invest in a marriage book dealing with forgiveness, because I guarantee you, if you are married, you will walk in forgiveness. You will need to ask for forgiveness, and you will need to give forgiveness.
That's right.
I guarantee it. Exciting news. Catch our audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Podcasts. We would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review. Do you prefer watching? Head on over to YouTube and search for the Inspiring Marriages channel to see us in action. And for the ultimate convenience, listen with your smart device. Just say, Siri, play the Inspiring Marriages podcast. Join us wherever and however you prefer to tune in. This week's Friendship Builder. So this week's Developing Intimacy Friendship Builder is start reading a marriage book together. You can do it on Kindle. You can do it however you want it. So we have a book here called The Honeymoon is Over, Now What? A Handbook for Holy Matrimony by Mylan and Christy Lefevre. Mm-hmm. And this is a great book. It's a real easy read, but that's an example of something that you can get. And the quotes that she has here, in The Honeymoon is Over, Now What? You will discover God's best for your marriage is holy matrimony. So they go through and they discuss exactly what is holy matrimony in comparison to a not holy matrimony. And really, right. you can see the difference. And it's a really, really well written book. And they did a great job writing it together. Mylan he's in heaven now. Mm-hmm. But Chrissy's still carrying on with their ministering all over the world. But our friends Trey and Lee Morgan, what they do, they take turns marking in a chapter. So he'll take a blue pen and he'll underline a sentence or star or something, and she'll take a red pen or a pink pen and she'll do the same. Mm-hmm. And then they'll talk about, why did you circle that word, or why did you star that phrase, and why did that stand out for you? And they'll talk about it. So that's a great way. You can take turns reading a passage. There's so many ways to read a book together. You just do whatever best for you. But the important thing is reading a book together. It's so it helps build your marriage. It really does. It builds your intimacy in your marriage by reading a book together. So this week's Friendship Builder: read a marriage book together.
Stay connected with us across all platforms. Join our vibrant community on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes moments.
Got something on your mind? Shoot us an email at inspiringmarriages@att.net. We're all ears for your questions or suggestions on how to enhance our podcast. And if you have any ideas on topics you'd love us to dive into next, let's keep the conversation going. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button and check out some of our other videos. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Next week, we'll continue talking about practical tips on how to walk out forgiveness in your marriage. Remember, forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. By demonstrating selfless love through forgiveness, we can build stronger, more fulfilling marriages. And remember, husband and wife are friends for life.